Hello YouTube, Captain Mac here, and welcome back to our FedEx cargo operations in the 777 freighter model from PMDG. You can just see off to the side here, our pilots are just showing up. I don't know if we'll see them walk over there or not. Sometimes we do, sometimes we don't. It's a GSX thing. Now I do know that if you have the new version of GSX, or GSX level 2 I believe it's called, you will see pilots and passengers and so on boarding the aircraft. I do not have that, but sometimes I see them and sometimes I don't, and this looks like one of those times we're not going to see them. But either way, our pilots are boarding the aircraft at this time. Now our flight today is going to take us from Atlanta. That's where we landed last time. We're going to fly from there over to KIAH, which is Houston. Is that just Houston Airport? It's George Bush Airport, right? I think so. I don't know. I don't remember off the top of my head, but either way, it doesn't matter. That's where we're going today. And yeah, it should be a good flight. So we're going to just kind of continue on with this. It's not really an official series, but I'm kind of running it like a series. Where we landed last, that's where we're going to fly from next. And I'm just going to kind of keep doing that. You guys seem to really enjoy this one, so I'm going to stick with it. Something that I learned, and then I'll just wrap up the intro with this. Something I learned when I did the PMDG 747-8 tutorial, which I did just the other day. Flying into San Francisco, I had to turn the AI traffic off. It was killing the frame rates. So right now, I've got, using Ultimate Traffic Live, I've got the AI traffic down to like 30. It's pretty low. Now I really like to fly with AI traffic, but it just seems like my system is gradually getting worse and just having a really hard time handling the extra stuff in this sim. So it's a real shame, but you know, moving towards a new system here, hopefully in the not too distant future. I actually just got off the phone with the IRS, and I probably won't see my tax return until around November. So hopefully we can raise a little more money through the very, very generous donations of you guys. We're just a little over $800 right now. And if we can just about double that, then I know I can certainly make up any difference that's there. So if you haven't done so and you're interested in doing so, you'd like to donate towards the building of a new PC for the Captain Mac channel here, look down below. You'll see in the description of the video, you'll see an email address. Email me directly and I will give you the information for my PayPal so that you can donate. And the reason I'm doing it that way is because I want to track the donations closely and make sure not only that everybody gets credit, but that all of the money is accounted for and goes into the new PC. And if there's anything left over after all the parts are bought for a new PC, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to use that money to purchase some quality payware add-ons that I'm going to give away on the channel. That's what I'm going to be doing with any extra funds. So it's not like Cap Mac's just going to take that money and put it in the bank. That's not going to happen. I will use any extra funds that are donated towards my new PC build to buy high quality payware add-ons, and I'll ask you guys first which ones you'd like to see offered up, and then we'll do a giveaway. And I'm not sure how we'll do that yet, but we will do a giveaway that ensures that some of you who gave get an opportunity to receive back. So I want you all to know that I appreciate everything you do very much, and you guys are just friggin' awesome. So with all of that said, what do you say we hop in the office here, fire up the computers, and get to work? Alright folks, we've got the ground power coming on the aircraft here right now. It takes a couple minutes for all of our displays to power up. Let's take advantage of this time to take a look at our flight plan. Using our Sim Toolkit Pro, a program I absolutely love. I'm looking forward to the next release, which will be version 0.6, and either sometime shortly after 0.6 or depending on what the developer wants. If the developer wants to wait until the full release, then I will wait, but otherwise I will be starting a tutorial of some sort on Sim Toolkit Pro. This program is free, folks. It is free. It doesn't cost you anything. It integrates your Active Sky. It integrates your Navigraph. It connects to your SimBrief flight plans. It's just fantastic. It connects to your sim. It tracks your flights inside the sim. It's just, everything about this is awesome. So if you haven't checked it out already, take a look. This is the EFB of all EFBs. I love this thing, and I'm going to be sticking with it for many years to come. Now, all of that being said, let's take a quick look at our flight today. It's FedEx Flight 128. Our off times, our off block times and all that stuff are going to be off or different now, because I just spent an hour and a half on the phone with the IRS. So, but anyway, we're going to be flying our 777, the 77 Lima. That is the, I believe, ICAO designation for a 777 freighter. I didn't put that in there. That's in there on its own. But this is the tail number we're flying here today, and we're looking at an air distance of 689 nautical miles, Atlanta to KIAH. Looking at our fuel down here, we've got a trip fuel calculated at 27,692 pounds with 4,070 pounds of contingency fuel. Final reserve is 7,195 pounds. That puts our block fuel way down here at 54,292 pounds. Moving on down here a little ways, let's take a look at our weights. We have 203,100 pounds of cargo. I don't know why it puts 6 packs on there. I mean, backup crew for the backup crew, I guess. Our zero fuel weight is 522,700 pounds. Takeoff weight of 575,600 pounds. You can see we're pretty darn heavy. And that is the flight plan for the day. All right, let's jump into our pre-flight checklist here. Block fuel has been loaded and verified. I took care of that already. Payload has been loaded or is loading right now. We've verified what the weight's going to be. The parking brake down here, she is set. The battery switch is on, I do believe. No, it's not. Better turn that on. There we go. Battery switch is on. Primary flight computers auto and guard closed. This one here, it is. Thrust asymmetry compensation on auto, which it is. APU gen switches are, or APU gen switch is on. The cabin utility switch is on as well. Left and right bus ties both on or on auto. Moving on here, generator control switches are on. That's these two down here. And then the backup generator switches are on as well, these two in the middle. APU selector switch, we're not going to start the APU yet. I like to do it when we're getting ready for pushback. So that's the way we're going to do it. That's Captain Mac company policy. We'll call it that. Nav light can be on. We do have power on the aircraft, so beacon light should be on anyway. Logo light we don't need. Cockpit lights we don't need. Emergency exit lights need to be armed with the guard closed. You can left click it to arm and then left click to close the guard, or you can just left click and close the guard and it will arm it automatically. Left and right pack control switches are set to auto. Those two there. The ADARU needs to go on. That's your IRS. I don't know what ADARU stands for. I'm going to have to look that up. And then FMC initialization. So if we jump down here, we can go to FMC. There we are, 777-200. I'm not sure what the 0.4 means, but here's our engines right here, the GE90 110B1 Lima 2 engines. Our air rack is up to date. So we can go to position initialization. We'll put in our reference airport, which is KATL. Here we go. Put it in the right one. Wait, KAT. Oh, I didn't click the L. That's probably why. There we go. Now it'll work. All right, so the airport's 3338 08425. And then the GPS is showing us at 3337. Keep in mind that the GPS for the airfield, when we put in our reference airport, that's the middle of the airfield. All right, and then this GPS position should be where we are right now. So we'll go ahead and we'll grab one of those. Put it in there, and there we go, and then we jump to our route page, and we are going to request a route. We've saved it in here. There it is, and request. And I need to take a drink of something. Oh my, that was quite the cough there. I got an itchy nose and scratchy throat, and it's all kinds of problems. So we're just waiting for see the request is sent. There it is. That tells us it showed up. Let's load it. Give that a second. You should see the origin and destination pop in. There they are. We are flight number 128. We are flying on ACARS for Mac Air today. There we go, 128. So we've already started ACARS. I'll show it to you real quick. I don't show ACARS as often anymore, but you can see now this particular flight is listed as a DLH flight. We're going to obviously be flying it for FedEx today, and we've chosen our FedEx freighter. And so on 203,100 pounds of cargo, flight time is still at 0 because the parking brake is on. I'm going to turn that off. I don't use that. So there you have it. And if I can clear my throat, we can get going here. Okay, so let's activate that, execute, and then the performance uplink or performance initialization uplink has already taken place. So if we go here, we can reject or accept it. We're going to accept it. And if you don't use the uplinks, you can put all this in yourself. It's pretty straightforward. WinData uplink is ready as well. And for some reason, I keep drawing. Every time I go to do this, I draw a blank. We're going to need full takeoff thrust and full climb thrust, so we'll leave that as is. And then our takeoff is going to be, what is it in this one? It's flaps 15, right? Yep, flaps 15. So we're going to do a flaps 15 takeoff. I know that it's ready. And then center of gravity is 27.7. And we haven't put in departure arrival yet, and I think we're still, the IRS is aligned, so it must be waiting for our departure, I'm assuming. I've been apparently having an issue lately with getting those to auto-populate. So we're going to be taking runway 9 left, and we are taking the Pouncy 2 departure. Not pencil. There it is, Pouncy 2. There we go. Execute that. Go to our route page, takeoff, and now our V speeds are in there. So it's going to be 140, 146, and 156. And that, ladies and gentlemen, completes our pre-flight checklist. Alright, with that then, let's move into our cockpit preparation checklist. Jumping back up to the overhead, the window heat needs to be on, which is these 4 here, and it is. Primary left and right engine hydraulic pump switches need to be on. That's primary left, primary right. Primary C1 and C2 need to be off. That's the 2 in the middle. And then left, right, C1, C2, demand hydraulic pump selectors all need to be off. That's these 4 down here. Seatbelt signs are going to go to the auto position. And the EEC mode switches need to be in the normal position. That's these 2 right here. And engine start selectors are also normal. These 2, and then auto start switch is going to be on. And the wing and engine anti-ice, you know, it never, for whatever reason, my checklist doesn't mention fuel jettison, but we do want to make sure that these are both off and that the guard is closed, right? See the little guard there? You don't want to be dumping fuel, and that the arm button is blank. All right, fuel pumps are all off at this point. Anti-ice is all going to be in the auto position for this particular aircraft. Gasper, there is no gasper switch. The recirc fans need to be on. Equipment cooling needs to be in auto. Flight deck control temperature switch needs to be in auto. Left and right pack control switches are both in auto. Trim air is going to be on. The isolation valve switches, all 3 of these are going to be in auto. We're going to have left and right engine bleeds are on, and the APU bleed is in auto. Pressurization should also be in the auto position, and that is it on the overhead, I do believe. The only thing we haven't done yet, and it's not on this checklist, it should be probably in this cockpit preparation, is testing our lights. So if you right click, and then somebody told me if you move your mouse all the way off the screen and let go, it holds, and it does, which is fantastic. So then I can come back over here, or I can just change views even. There we go, and we just see that all of our lights, our warning lights and whatnot, are lit up. That's what we want. That's the purpose of that test. So I don't remember who it was, but to the individual who mentioned in the comments that I could, if holding the button down and just moving it off the switch didn't work, move it off the screen, that would work. Thank you for that. So just give it a quick left click at that point, and then that turns them back off. Now we can go, we've obtained our ATIS, and that is going to be, let me just move move a window out of the way here. There we go. So Atlanta on the 12th at 1352 Zulu. Winds are 070 at 16 knots. Visibility is 10 statute miles with a few clouds at 5,500 feet, a few at 25,000. The altimeter is 3017, and then there's nothing else significant on there. So I'm going to write that down, because I'll forget. I always do. I can always look back over at my EFB, but it sure is helpful to write it down, right? So if you have a scratch pad, you should write it down. So wind 070 at 16 knots, and it's a good thing we're taking runway 09, because that's a pretty strong wind. And then altimeter is 3017. All right, and then we're going to need that information, obviously. So let's jump down here now, and we can start setting up, well, it says to program the FMC. We've already done that. I do that with the FMC initialization. Maybe that's not the right way to do it, but it's done. So we do need to set up the MCP, though. So auto throttle, is actually, some of them say off, some of them say on. I say you just leave it on. There's no reason not to. We do want to set our MCP speed to v4.5. So we were what, 156, right? Yep, 156. So we want to be 161. That's the other way there. There we go, 161. And then runway heading. So if I just jump over to my Sim Toolkit Pro again, you can see I can pull up Navigraph. I've got charts on here, all our airport charts, and I've got our departure on there as well, which we'll go over during the brief. But I can just look real quick on here, and I can see for runway 9 left, and you probably can't see it real good because I have the window small. Just zoom it in, 095 degrees, right? So that's our runway heading, 095 degrees. So we want to put that in here as well. That's a little too far. And then you can also just take a quick look at your departure, which I just pulled it. You heard it go quiet for a second because I just clicked over to my departure. So it looks like for runway 09 left, we are climb heading 095 to intercept course 115 to grits. All right, so, and I only read that real quick. You'll get the departure briefing, but I'm just looking at which one we're on. So we're grits, and then it's going to be, okay, so 250 knots. And all I'm looking for is altitude restrictions. And really I'm looking for maximum altitude restrictions. So we're going to assume that we're going to be cleared all the way up to flight level 340. So you can see I'm going 100 feet at a time there, or I can just right click the back of the knob there. Now I can go up 1,000 feet at a time. It's a little quicker that way. There we go, 340, and then left click it again to put it back over to the auto position, and we're good to go. And that should take care of setting up the MCP. We could arm LNAV and VNAV. I usually like to arm them, but you don't have to at this point. You do want to arm them before takeoff though. Okay, flight instruments are set with no flags. We have not set our altimeter yet, so it was 3017. So we go up here, 3017. There we go. And this one doesn't pop up, but this one does, and I have them synced. So there you can see 3017 on the altimeter. We also need to set our minimums. We need, I usually just do radio 200 feet for takeoff minimums. Sometimes that's different depending on the airport, but it's flat out here. So you know, I got to be honest with you guys. I don't understand what takeoff minimums is for. I think it just has to do with you know what? I bet I know what it's for. Like sometimes you'll get on a departure brief. It tells you you have to climb to a certain altitude before making a turn. So like climbing out of Phoenix, I think you got to climb to 1,300 and something feet before you start a turn on one of the departures. So setting that altitude as your minimums is probably a really good idea, and that's probably what it's for too. So it tells you, okay, I've reached that altitude, now I can make my turn. That's my guess, but if I'm wrong, please let me know. I don't know everything there is to know about this stuff, obviously. Okay, so flight instruments are now set with no flags. Auto brake needs to go to RTO. There it is. Comm audio panel is set. I really hope there's a program out there called POSCON. I forget what the acronym stands for, but it's an ATC and a joint flight program. In other words, like you can see the other aircraft that you're flying with in there, and it's got ATC and actual controllers and all that stuff. And I really wanted to do that, but it's not compatible with Windows 7, and I'm still on Windows 7. So until I can upgrade the PC, I can't do it. That stinks. Transponder, TCAS, and test. So transponder code is going to be 2336 as it always is. There we go. And then if you click the button in the middle, will it let me from here? It's not going to let me from here. We're going to have to jump over here. And then we can test it. There we go. And then you'll see the test is taking place. And it'll tell us when it's done. Aileron and rudder trim is set to 0. And that brings us to our taxi and takeoff briefing.
Test. Pass.
Thank you for that. So let's jump right into that. I'll bring it over here. Okay, so we are located at the south cargo ramp. All right, let's just take care of our briefing strip real quick, and then we'll jump into what that means, because there's special procedures down here. So the ATIS is on 125.55, Atlantic clearance on 18.1. We are taking runway 9 left, so we're going to be on 121.75. You probably can't see that, but now you can. Tower for us is going to be on 123.85, and then departure is on 125.65. All right, lots of operational notes. I looked through these. They're not particularly applicable to us, especially this time of year. However, there are procedures for the south cargo ramp where we're located. We are a departing aircraft, so our transponders need to be on prior to pushback. We need to make sure we put our transponder on. The south cargo ramp is uncontrolled. Pushbacks are at our discretion. We don't need permission. Unless pushback has been initiated, arriving aircraft have priority into the ramp area. So we need to, right before we push back, we need to check and make sure there's no aircraft arriving. It's important to monitor the Unicom prior to and during pushback, as airport operations may advise of inbound traffic and so on. Pushbacks from bays 3 through 6, that's us, must tow to startup Diamond 1 before engines start. Now, we have a limit, within DSX that doesn't allow us to be towed to that position, unfortunately. But I will take a look at the edit function and see if I can, I'll see if I can set it up so that we're close to that, and I'll show you where that is here in just a minute. Departing aircraft are to contact Atlanta ground on the appropriate frequency. Okay, so let's look at our thing here. So Diamond 1. So we're supposed to be towed to Diamond 1, which should be right here. I do have the add-on scenery, so we'll see if it appears. We are in Bay 3, so it may just be a simple pushback for us and should be pretty straightforward. Now let's take a look at our departure real quick, and then we can get out of here. Okay, so for runway 9 left, climb heading 095 to intercept course 115 to Grits, then on depicted route to Pouncey, maintain 250 knots to Heisman. And you can see that's right here. So 09 left is over here. We're going to turn to, what did it say, 111 degrees, right, out to Grits, and then to 185 out to Heisman, maintaining 250 knots. Now, we're heavy, so we're going to assume that ATC has given us a, what do you call it, a waiver or whatever, to fly faster than that. That's what I'm getting at. That's not the word I'm thinking of, waiver, but you know what I'm talking about. And then from Heisman, it's a right turn to 275 to turn, then out to Pouncey, and then on from there. Pretty straightforward as far as the departure goes. Let's get back over here. And then just looking at our actual departure. So we're supposed to come out, I believe, and I believe it didn't say it in departing, but when, let's see, arrivals, landing on runway 9 right should expect to enter via taxiway R10. Departing aircraft during a west operation, which would be these two runways, that's not us. Departing aircraft during an east operation should expect to exit via taxiway R6. All right, so that's important to note that we're supposed to exit here on R6. Then we'll take a left down Romeo, and then we will cross over 9 right at Papa here, and then we will hold short of 9 left. Pretty straightforward as far as all that goes. Any questions? Of course not, it's a video. Why do we keep doing this, guys? That's going to take care of all of our cockpit preparation. Alright, as usual, that section was a little long, but we are ready for our before start checklist. But before I do that, I just want to get GSX fired up here. So let's prepare for pushback and departure. Now, I checked, I did the edit pushback. So the diamond doesn't show up out there, but just looking at the chart, it should be almost even with where we're at right now is where our nose should be. So that's where I set it, but because it's still a turn, I still have it turning. So I don't know if it's going to be, if GSX is going to be able to actually move the aircraft into that position. We're going to find out for sure. Now real quick, I want to jump up here and get the APU started.
Ready for pushback.
They can be ready all they want. So while the APU is starting up, let's take a look here. Cabin and cargo doors, or cat just says, yeah, cabin and cargo doors is actually what it says. So let's look at our door page here real quick.
Locking gear.
Okay, it looks like one left is not armed. So let's go over here and let's arm it. We need that to be armed. There we go. That takes care of that. Something else just jumped into my mind while I was doing that. Oh yeah, checklists. We haven't been doing our checklist, right? So our pre-flight oxygen and flight instruments are good. I don't know why that jumped up down there. And then that takes us to our before start. So that's good. We'll put that back on the engine page. External power and air needs to be disconnected at this point. So we can go here to ground connections. And we can disconnect. Let's wait until our APU's up and running first. I've made this mistake a couple of times. So the APU is still spinning up. If I disconnect it right now, it's going to shut everything down. And I've done that once or twice, which is foolish of me. So let's just give it a second here. It does say we can go up here, right electric demand hydraulic pump selector to auto. So that's this one right here. And then primary C1, C2 hydraulic pump switches on. Those are the primaries. And then left electric demand hydraulic pump selector to auto, and then the C1 and C2 to auto. And that's the order it says to do it in, so that's the order I did it in. Left and right fuel pump switches all need to come on. And we don't need the center. I'm positive we have no fuel in there, but if you guys don't believe me, we'll double check down here. Let's just put it on this right inbound real quick. And fuel. And you can see our center tank is empty. Seatbelt signs are on. Beacon light is on. Recall switch push. And yep, engines are shut down and TCAS is off. Now it does say before pushback that we need to turn our transponder on. So there's transponder right there. And then we got to go 2 more when we're ready for departure. Now let's look at our APU. Are we up and running here? Yes, we are. APU is fully up and running. APU gen is on, so we can disconnect our air. And this guy, let's double check, make sure park and brake is set. And did he ask me to remove park and brake yet? I wasn't paying attention. Let's see. I don't know if he did. I can just try releasing park and brake and see what happens, right? Okay. Release. Put them on immediately. So he wants me to do it again. So that takes care of our before start checklist. I'm going to make sure everything's squared away properly here. Sometimes it resets these. And then we'll jump right back in here and we'll push and start. Alright, so it does this to me a lot where it wants me to choose, like it didn't have me choose from the start. I don't know why. But we're going to choose our quick edit pushback there. Oh, nope, wrong one. Dang it. No.
Departure check completed. Bypass pin inserted.
Okay.
Release parking brakes.
Alright, I'll release them in a second. So, I picked the wrong one. You're supposed to pick the one that says saved quick edit pushback. That's what I was supposed to do.
Release parking brakes.
I know. So, but I didn't. So, my mistake. But you saw where it was going briefly anyway. If you want to see it again, pause, go back and pause the video and you'll see the pushback's pretty tight. I don't know if we're going to make it or not. We'll see. Okay, engine start. We always start with number 1. So we're going to announce engine start, and then we're going to come up to the start selectors, which is just easier to see from here. We're going to move it. That's engine 2. Start. Oops. Alright. And then we're going to put this on our engine page. No, wrong one. We're going to put that on nav. Put this one on engine. And you can see that the N2 is coming up. So we can put our fuel in. I don't know if it's going to make this turn, you guys. I think it's too tight a turn for GSX. That's one thing I think could be a vast improvement for GSX. 2 things, as a matter of fact. A tighter turn radius, because in reality they can push this sucker back on a really tight turn in the real world, and the ability to tow forward. Now, one or both of those might be available in GSX level 2. I don't know. If you have it and you've used it, let me know. But the ability to push back, especially really tight, and then tow forward would be fantastic. I've never had it tow me forward, so I don't know, but we'll see. So it looks like it might make the turn though. It's turning pretty tight, so you know, maybe I'm wrong about that, because it is turning pretty tight there, you can see. So it looks like it's going to get us on the line pretty close to where the diamond's supposed to be. It would have been great if they would have actually programmed or put the diamonds in there as far as the scenery goes. Okay, let's go to engine number 2 here. Left click to start.
Set parking brakes.
Set the parking brake. N2's coming up.
Confirmation for good engine start.
Introduce fuel, and then they're going to sit and wait until we tell them we got a good engine start, right? So let's wait for that to come up. Wow. Okay, had to take a drink of something there real quick. That was actually a good pushback, so I appreciate that. Just waiting for engine 2 to finish starting up, and then once it's stabilized, we'll confirm a good engine start with them, which is just a lot of sitting around. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pause the video here. It's almost done, but I'm going to pause the video, confirm a good engine start when it's done, then we'll come back and take care of our before taxi checklist. Alright folks, we have confirmed good engine start. Let's take care of our before taxi checklist. Left and right generator control switches should be on and the lights should be off, which they are. That's these two right here in case you're wondering. APU selector should go off now. We don't need it. Engine start selectors should be normal, these two, which they are. Left and right pack control switches auto and lights off. So sometimes they take a minute. So we'll just let them sit for a minute and see what happens. If we have to, we'll recycle them, okay? Left, center, right isolation valve switches auto and lights off. That is these three here. Yep, left, center, and right. My brain went blank for a second. Engine bleed air switches on and lights off. There goes the lights for the packs. Engine bleed air on and lights off. APU stays on auto. Flaps set and confirmed. We haven't done that yet. It's going to be flaps 15.
Left is clear.
Which should be right there. And I just use a little switch on my yoke. I have a flap lever on my TQ6. I don't particularly care for it, to be honest with you. It just doesn't seem to calibrate properly. I love how they say we're clear, but he just stands there. Alright, moving on here. So flaps set and confirmed. So we're going flaps 15. We're still waiting on the travel on those. Stabilizer trim needs to be set. So let's move this guy to flight controls. And stabilizer trim is supposed to be what? 4.0. Look at that. We're at 4.0. Fantastic. Let's do our flight control check while we're sitting here. All the way left. And you're supposed to do this slow and deliberate. You're not supposed to just yank them over there, just so you know. All the way right. There's neutral. All the way up. All the way down. And neutral. And let's see if I can do the rudders without disconnecting the brake here. Full left. No, I think I disconnected the brake. You barely touch them and the brake comes off for some reason. Full right and neutral. But when I go to apply brakes, I have to press them all the way down. Oh, it didn't pop it off. Okay, so we're good there. Recall switch needs to be checked. And do it again. TCAS off. We know that. Wing and engine anti-ice are on auto. Taxi light can come on at this point. Let's, I always forget which one it is. It's the first one. Strobe light stays off. We can also use runway turn off lights if we want. We need our wing lights to come on as well. We're good on lights now. And yet the last item on the checklist is runway turn off lights as needed. That takes care of our before taxi checklist. Alright folks, so with the traffic turned down, the frame rates definitely seem to be doing better. It does kind of stink that we can't put more realistic traffic in there, but it is what it is at this point. And there's no use complaining about it. Okay, track hour coming on a little jump here. There it is. That was a big jump, actually. A lot bigger than I expected. And that's my head relaxed there, but it's not centered for some reason. So I can recenter. It's pretty straightforward and simple. And what do you say we take the brakes off? Make sure they're off. Little thrust coming in. Remember, we need to use entryway 6R for getting onto the Romeo taxiway. So that's going to be the one on our left up here. And we don't have any traffic coming in, so I think we're good. We could look, what is the Unicom frequency here? That's ATIS, that's clearance, that's ground, tower. It doesn't say the Unicom on here, does it? So I'm looking, obviously, on my left screen over here. I'm looking to see if I can see the Unicom frequency. Non-movement area contact 131.375. But it doesn't say Unicom anywhere. Which one's supposed to be the Unicom? It should be the tower frequency, right? Except that tower is not going to be telling us anything over here. So I'm not sure about that, to be honest with you. But typically the tower frequency becomes Unicom at airports when they're uncontrolled. So I don't know. Maybe I got that wrong. You guys correct me down in the comments if you feel like doing so. But as far as we know, there's nobody coming in, and with minimal traffic, I mean, you can only see there's a few airplanes out there, not many moving. So We got nobody coming in. We're going to go ahead and taxi out here, and then I will see you guys when we're ready for our before takeoff checklist. Alrighty, folks, here we are holding short of runway 9 left. For those of you who don't know why I stopped so far back from the line, is you are supposed to stop where you can still see the line clearly. So that's why we're so far back. Let's take care of our before takeoff checklist. Landing lights need to come on. First thing I'm going to do actually is I'm going to turn TCAS all the way on. And I want to do that just to see if there's anybody on our approach path. There doesn't appear to be. So let's get the landing lights on. And you would do this as you pull on the runway, obviously, but it's just a little easier to do it this way. We don't need a logo light. Strobe lights are on. Auto throttle is on. LNAV and VNAV are armed. Clock needs to be set, so we'll press that. Clock starts ticking. Transponder mode is TARA, and then weather radar on. Let's get to the proper view. Track IR coming on. Little or big jump here. There we go, and let's get her out on the runway. Alright, get her moving and then pull those throttles back because the ground friction is well adjusted on this aircraft, so it goes quite well. If you keep your throttles up, you're going to keep moving. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, hop in a default P3D or FSX aircraft and pull the throttles up, get yourself to about 10 knots and pull the throttles to 0, and you'd be amazed at how fast that aircraft stops without touching the brakes. Not the case in this one or in the PMDG 747, but not as great in the PMDG 737. Okay, we're going to bypass the line, bypass, not bypass, and then cut it on over here nice and tight. Just a little bit of toe brake there, slow us down, see if we overshot it or not. It looks like we overshot it, maybe just a little bit. Yeah, a little bit, that's alright. Come back this way just a little. And we'll finish lining up as we start our takeoff run. Okay, nothing else to do except get the throttles in. Let's bring them to around 50-ish. Let them stabilize just a little. Release brakes. Thrust ref. Hands are on the throttles until we reach V1. Center it up nicely. Looking good. All right. Let's listen for our call outs.
V1.
Check.
Rotate. V2.
Pull her back. Positive rate, gear coming up. Following that flight director. Go ahead and go to flaps 5. There's our middle marker. Be starting our turn shortly. There's the turn start. Climb thrust. Bring that nose down a little. Little nose down trim helps her out. Don't want to turn too tight. It's a little hard to see the cross, the flight director cross on this thing. I think it could be just a little clearer. That's all right though. Looking good. Maybe just undercut it a hair. Not the best pilot in the world there. Flaps 1. Looking good. As you can see, we're going to go over 250 knots. Again, we can get a waiver, if you will, for that. Flaps up because we're so heavy. I can't think of the word. Waiver is the only word I can think of right now. We need to start bringing the nose up. Well, it looks like it's going to put us right at 250. Start our turn here. Whoop, a little quick into that. Bring the nose up as we're turning. There we go. Looking pretty good. Get it on that cross. Little nose up trim there. Don't want to undercut it. Just trying to get that speed to come back down just a little bit. And I'll turn the autopilot on here shortly. Start coming out of the turn, nice and easy. Again, just trying to get that nose up. Pull her out of the turn there. There we go, looking good. Alright, let's bring the autopilot on here. Not too bad. Track IR coming off. Oh, that's not track IR coming off, is it? There we go. That was an interesting jump there, wasn't it? Okay, let's take care of our after takeoff checklist. Landing gear is up. Auto brake is off. Once we get above 10,000 feet, which we're almost there, we can turn the landing lights off. So I'm going to start from this side because it's a little easier. There we go. Landing lights off as we cross 10,000 feet. Seatbelt signs as desired. Transition altitude will be 18,000 feet. And that means, ladies and gentlemen, you guessed it, it is time for some of that obligatory elevator music. Alright folks, we're just about 100 miles from top of descent here. A little bit of housekeeping to do before we get there, so let's dive right into our descent checklist. First of all, the FMC, we want to verify the arrival and the approach. We've done that, and we will go over the brief here shortly. Flight instruments are set. Transition altitude will be 18,000 feet, as it always is in the U.S. Wing and engine anti-ice is auto or as needed. Recall switch needs to be pushed. There we go. Nothing coming up. Not sure why it says FMC on there. It's been doing that to me lately. Auto brake needs to be set. Our runway is going to be pretty short and we're pretty heavy, so we're going to be using auto brake 2. We'll go to manual braking if needed. Landing data. We have not done that yet, so I'll pop this guy up for you. Hit your initial reference. There's your different landing flap settings and VREF speeds. We're going to be doing a full flap landing, so it's 147 knots. Click on that. Put it in there. There you go. And you can always change it later if you need to. And then it takes us to completing our approach briefing. So let's take a look at that. Sound goes a little quiet here for a second. Or it doesn't. I don't know. That is not our approach. Okay, so here's our arrival today. It's going to be the Skinnerd 4 RNAV arrival. We were originally scheduled for a different arrival, but it wasn't working for the runway that we need to take. So this is what we're going to take. And coincidentally, the other arrivals said that for the runway we're taking, this is the one you look for. That's why, so it worked out nicely. Anyway, ATIS is going to be on 124.05. Airport elevation is 96 feet. Let's see, up here it says fly the runway 8 left transition. Houston approach control may assign different transitions on initial contact, blah, blah, blah. We're going to come in out here at Alexandria VOR down to, now this is kind of funny to me. So it's the Alexandria VOR, then it's Journey, Beetle, Doobie, Skinnerd, Buffett, and I have no idea what this one is. So for those of you who don't know, Journey was a band. Pretty much all of you know who the Beatles were. the Doobie Brothers, Leonard Skinner and Jimmy Buffett. So yeah, interesting. But anyway, I don't know what King WD is, but from there for us it is Eddie, Reaper, Shiv, and Howlin', and then we'll be on vectors there, and that'll take us to our final approach course. So if you look down here, just real quick, it tells you from Skinner on track 242 to Buffett, then 242, and on it goes. Basically everything we just talked about. We do have a couple of altitude restrictions to concern ourselves with, and they are programmed into the FMC. At Beetles, we need to be between flight level 280 and 240. At Doobie, we need to be between flight level 220 and 190. At or below 16,000 at Skinner, between 14 and 12 at Buffett, and then at King WD, it's between 10 and 8. Then it's below 8 at Eddie, and then it's at 6 for Reaper, Shiv, and Howlin'. Now, interestingly, as we jump over to our approach here, we were originally going to transition onto the approach at Lassie, but if we have to be at 6,000 feet for our arrival when we get to Howlin', we would have to climb to meet our altitude restriction for Lassie. So we changed to Jelly as our initial approach fix for the approach today. So it's going to be the ILS or localizer runway 8 right approach. ATIS is on 124.05. Houston approach. We're coming from the east initially, so it's 120.05, but then we'll transition over to the west side, so we may need to change frequencies if we were using ATC. Tower for us, we're going to be 8 right, so it's 125.35, and then ground control is 118.575. Localizer frequency is 109.7 with a final approach course of 087 degrees. Glide slope intercept at Matin at 2,000 feet MSL. ILS decision altitude is 295 feet MSL or 200 feet AGL. Again, airport elevation 96 feet, touchdown zone elevation 95 feet. Should we need to perform a missed approach, we will climb to 3,000 feet on heading 087 and inbound on the DAS VOR 242 degree radial to the DAS VOR and hold. So pretty much straight out to the VOR and hold. And you can see what all that looks like on our plan portion down here. Coming in at Jelly is our initial approach fix, then Rain, then Eelpo, then Matin for an intercept of the ILS, and on in from there. Minimum safe altitude in our sector is 2,400 feet. That's this sector right here is where we're going to be, and when we're coming in from the other side it's 3,100 feet. Looking at the profile view, again coming in at Jelly because we got to be at 6,000 feet while we're on our arrival anyway. And then Jelly 5,000, Rain 4,000, Eelpo 3,000, and then down to 2 for glide slope intercept at Matin. ILS decision altitude 295 feet. Now, I do want to talk really quickly about our taxi, and then I'm going to wrap this up. So we're coming in over here on 8 right. We cannot use East Cargo. It does not have spaces large enough for us. We need to use Central Cargo, which is this guy right down here. Okay, so there's a couple things I want to note about this. First of all, if you look at our parking gates here, this is the Central Cargo and this is the East Cargo. So you can clearly see that the larger cargo aircraft are using Central Cargo. It would be nice if it gave us like limits on wingspan or whatever, but it doesn't. So, all of that being said, when we come off over here and we start our back taxi, there's a lot of notes over here, and they are applicable to us, alright? So, if we start over here, note number 9, and I'll zoom in a little for you, this one just has to do with taxiway lighting, not a problem for us. But when we come over here to note number 1, alright, taxiway November Romeo between November Charlie and Whiskey Whiskey is closed to aircraft with wingspan more than 214 feet or 65 meters. That's us, which means it's closed right here, so we can't come down this way. Alright, so we're going to have to come out over here to November Echo and then take November Echo down. Now we can't come this way either because if you look at note number 5, taxiway November Romeo is closed to aircraft with wingspans greater than 125 feet, which is definitely us, between Whiskey Delta and Whiskey Bravo. That's right here. So if we were to come down here, we're going to end up running right through that because here's Whiskey Delta, here's Whiskey Bravo. We can't be there, even though we're not on November Romeo. So the smart thing for us to do is take November Echo all the way out here, take it down until we get to Whiskey Golf, cut over and in. Pretty complicated taxi route. The reason I'm going over it in such detail right now is it gives me an opportunity before we start our descent to show you one last thing here that I haven't shown you before on Sim Toolkit Pro. So let me go to controls here, remove the follow me function, and I want to zoom in here. Don't worry about what it shows for the arrival and stuff. I want to zoom into the airport. Now you guys are going to love this. So you can see the airport layout, right? Zoom in a little further. Wait for it. Wait for it. Bam. Taxiways. Here's our runway. Here's our taxiways. And it will show your aircraft on here. So you have this over here on your other screen. If you're getting a little confused on your taxi, just look at where it shows your aircraft on here and you'll know where you need to turn. Good stuff, right? Okay, let's zoom back out and hop back over to our aircraft here. Pull our charts back up where they're useful for me. Put this back over here, and we are just about on top of descent because that was a lot of talking. So I'm going to take this all the way down to 2,000 because we don't. All of our altitude restrictions are programmed into the FMC. Now, just as a reminder, the proper way to do it, of course, is to only descend to the. There's two ways of doing it. You descend to the altitude given to you by ATC, or if you lose comm, you would descend to the altitudes as published on the arrival. However, for simplicity, because it's flight sim and we're not using ATC, I'm just going to take it right down to our final altitude and allow the FMC to control our altitudes for us. That was a whole lot of information, a whole lot of talky talk. I'm done now. I'll see you guys when we're getting close to the approach. Alright folks, as you can see, we are on what is essentially our downwind leg here. If we look out the right side of the aircraft, let's just zip over there real quick. Well, maybe not so quick. And we're just past the airfield there. It's actually behind us, so I guess we're not going to be able to see it. There it is. You can just see it through the window. I'm not going to hop outside the airplane. Anyway, so let's go ahead and throw in flaps 1 there. And those are coming in now. And let's take a look at our before landing checklist. To me, this is not really a landing checklist per se because it's missing a few things. But below 10,000 feet, landing lights are on. Speed brakes need to be armed. That is done. Seatbelt signs are on and altimeters are set to 3024. We still got a ways to go with our flaps. We're on vectors right now. You can see here's jelly right here, and I'll pop it up for you. There's jelly, so that's going to be our initial approach fix there, right? So what we're going to do is we'll just use the LNAV feature. It's easy. If you were flying ATC, you'd probably go into heading mode now. And then you'd be flying whatever heading they told you to fly, and they'd vector you around. And for simplicity, we're just going to use the function in the FMC where we use that waypoint to replace vectors, and that'll get us on the right course. So, other than that, there's really not much to do at this point. We're just kind of cruising along here. So what I'll probably do is I'll probably just break away just for a couple minutes here, a couple minutes for me, a couple seconds for you guys, until we get a little further up. Then I'll show you how to replace that waypoint, and that'll put us on the approach. So see you in just a second. Alright, so as you can see, we're just about parallel with jelly here. So what we'll do is we'll just jump down here, and I'll make this kind of so you can see it. As long as you get the checklist on, every time your mouse goes over it, it's gonna let's do it the other way. It'll grab your cursor. So let's jump this up here instead. We'll jump this up as well. So if you go to your legs page, this is just sort of the, if you will, the cheater way to do it. So we're just on vectors. There's jelly. We're just passing it now. So we just grab it here, put it here, and you can see that provides a turn for us. Execute. We're on LNAV, so it's just going to go right for it. Again, if you were flying on ATC, they're going to give you a heading. That's what vectors is for. Vectors is not to make it difficult for you. What it means is ATC is going to, especially if they're busy, they're going to allow you to fly it all the way up to this point without really talking to you. There's nothing to really say. You have your fix, you have your heading, you have your altitude restrictions. They're going to leave you alone until you get onto vectors, and then they're going to take you where they need you to go to line you up for landing, right? So that's what vectors is all about. It's not about making it difficult. We're sort of doing it the easy way where we're saying, well, we don't have ATC, so what we're going to do is we're just going to go ahead and throw it in like that, and we're good to go, right? So I think you guys get the point. So let's look at our approach checklist. Altimeters are set, so we're good there. I don't know why that popped up like that, but let's go down here, back to normal checklist. And then the landing checklist will take care of itself as each thing is handled. So I want to put that back on the engine page here because we don't need it up right now. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take over the speed, and I'm going to slow us down just a little bit. Bring us down to about 185. There we go. And that's right at our flaps 5 limit there. So as we come down just a little bit on our speed, we'll go ahead and we'll put in flaps 15. So just waiting on that right now, just letting that speed come down a little bit more, because when I put in flaps 15, this yellow line, this is sort of your warning line. We're pushing our speed for flaps 15 at that point, right? Well, it didn't come down as far as I thought it would, but the red line's going to come all the way down to meet it. So you cannot exceed this speed when you're at flaps 15 without causing damage to your flaps. That's what that's all about right there. Okay, so weather's nice out here. Just taking a look real quick at my weather over here. So the wind is 070 at 10 knots, gusting to 21. So we're going to get some gusts, and it's going to be a little bumpy coming in. That's all right. It's not the end of the world. And let me just pop that folder back up. That shows the little file being created while I'm recording, and I like having that on so that I know things are recording, because I've had some issues where it didn't work right. Let's go ahead and engage the localizer at this point. Now I went ahead and turned off the AI traffic for the approach. Alright, it was already getting some frame rate drops that were causing choppiness. I don't want to deal with that. And I know you guys don't either. It just takes away from the video a little bit, in my opinion. So I said, you know what? We don't have to have traffic on approach. We don't have to have traffic when we land. It's not the end of the world. So I just turned off the AI traffic, and that should keep our frame rates a little smoother. It's unfortunate that I have to do that now. I didn't always have to. You can see we captured the localizer. We'll put on the approach mode now. I didn't always have to do that. That's a relatively new thing, which is, like I said, it's unfortunate. I don't like that I have to do that, but it is what it is. So there you have it. We're just a little below what the glide slope would be. That diamond's white there. That tells us the glide slope is alive. It is moving. Once it gets centered up there, it grabs the glide slope, and we're good to go. So our speed's looking all right. It's sitting a little higher than what we got it set at, but we're well within our speed limitations. So we're good on that. And there's really not much else to do at the moment. We will have a final landing checklist that we'll go over ourselves. And you guys saw it briefly down here on the display. You can even pop it up on this display. That's one of the cool things about this. I believe it's this button here. So there you go. That's the landing checklist, right? And then your cursor works over here as well. So once the landing gear's down and the flaps are at 30, then that'll complete our landing checklist. I want that on nav, and then select back to the center. So if I change it again, it doesn't change that one. Alright, so we're on our VNAV path, looking pretty good here. Frame rates are holding out nice. Hopefully they'll continue to do that. I got really nothing running on my computer, but you see you get those frame rate drops. I like to leave that up. That's just a reference for you. It's reference for me, but it's also for you guys. When you see choppiness, it's because there's a sudden large drop in frame rates, right? Usually somewhere a little over 10 frames per second will cause a little chop, and then if it's more than 15, it's a pretty big chop, and so on. Anyway, our VREF speed, I'll pop this up for you. We're looking at 146 now, so flaps 30, 146. That's going to put us at 151 on the MCP. So I'm going to go ahead, and I'm just waiting for it to come in a little more, get a little closer to that glide slope there. We can go ahead and slow down a little more. Again, we're looking for 151, so I'll bring it down to 170. That's still above our flaps 15 speed. So we're looking good on that. Now remember, our glide slope intercept is supposed to be at Matin, which is after Eelpo. Right, so here's Eelpo, here's Matin. Matin's now our next waypoint. So we're going to descend down to 2,000, and then once we catch that glide slope, we need to remember to put the, I almost always forget this, the missed approach altitude in there. Right, so that's telling us we're getting close to our altitude there. As soon as we intercept, we'll go gear down in flaps 20. So just waiting on the intercept now. It's almost there, you can see. Pretty easy stuff, right? Speed's looking good. Radio altimeter's alive. Come on, grab that glide slope. Almost there. So remember, it's supposed to grab at Matin, and we're still 1.7 miles from that, so that's why it hasn't grabbed yet. We're not on the glide slope, but we will be here shortly. I I've got an itch on my foot. There's the glide slope right there. Okay, so gear down, flaps 20, speed to 151. And if I don't take care of this itch on my foot, I'm going to be in trouble. Oh, there we go. We got it. Okay. Flaps 25. There we go. Probably came down a little fast on the speed. That's my bad. Flaps 30. Alright, let's set our go-around altitude. 3,000 feet. Wrong. There we go. 3,000 feet. Fantastic. And our heading is 087, so we're good to go on that. I didn't change that. That was my bad. Okay, let's jump to a proper view here. Track IR coming on. A little jump. There it is. That was a bigger jump than I expected. Track IR is kind of acting weird for me today. So you can see the wind's coming off our left side here. It's at 14 knots. There's 13 knots now. Land 3. We're not going to use the auto land feature. The weather obviously doesn't call for it. But that wind is gusty, which is going to make this pretty fun. I'll take over when we get to about 1,000 feet, which we're almost there. When you do that, make note of your descent rate. It's between 800 and 750. Boy, there's a huge, look, it just froze. Why did it drop to 9 frames a second? There's not even any traffic out there. It's not an add-on airport. It's been frustrating, guys. This PC's about done. Alright, there's 1,000 feet. There we go. We have control. And let's see if we can still fly. So we're looking pretty good. Frame rates are just bouncing all over the place. I have no idea why.
Approaching 0.
There it is again. Look, it's just, what is this slideshow garbage with? Oh, I'm over it, you guys. It's so frustrating. I don't know why it's doing that. There's nothing going on my computer right now. Very frustrating.
400.
Alright, we got just a little high there. We got a short runway. We don't have room to be high.
300.
Oh, come on. Even with the traffic turned off, what is that all about? We're looking alright.
100. 50. 40. 30. 20. 10.
Just hold it. There we go. Come on, reverse. There they are. That wind's just messing with us. See how it changed direction too.
4,000 feet remaining.
There's 80 knots. Reverse thrust off. Manual braking.
3,000 feet
And
remaining.
a little uneven on the brakes there. Take the high speed exit. I do apologize for the choppiness, guys. I don't get it. I don't know what the deal is with it. It shouldn't be choppy. There's no reason for it to be choppy like that. It's really, really frustrating. Okay, let's get her all the way off here. Let's get the strobes off. There we go. Let's get the APU started. Said our landing rate was minus 72 feet per minute, so that's nice at least. Alright, let me get her up around the corner here. And yeah, we can make that. What's our speed? 7 knots? Yeah, it'd be a tight turn, but we can make it. Just take her up here a little further. Swing her back. Now it looks like we're going to go off there, but we're not. Although we're going to come close. But our nose wheel's not on that grass. Just barely. But we kept her on there. I turned a little late. I should have turned a little sooner. That's alright though. Lesson learned. I don't usually make U-turns like that. Okay, I'm just going to let her roll to a gentle stop here. Track IR coming off a little jump. There we go. And let's take care of our after landing checklist. Landing lights are off. Strobe lights are off. Taxi light is on. Runway turnoff lights are on. Wing and engine anti-ice has remained on auto. I just want to make sure I don't run off the taxiway, even though we're going really slow. Auto brake needs to be off. Right now it's disarmed. Now it's off. Speed brakes need to go down. And they are. Flaps need to come up. And I'm just using my button here. Make sure the flaps go all the way up. There we go. Transponder can go off. There you have it. And that, ladies and gentlemen, takes care of our landing or our after landing checklist. I'm going to go ahead and taxi this bird on in, and I will see you guys when we're getting ready to shut down. Alrighty folks, getting ready to pull in over here. Sorry, turned my head a little quick there, didn't I? That's one thing about track IR. If you turn your head fast, it moves quick. Start swinging around here. It's got one of those little default turns at the end there, you see that? I dislike those. It makes it very hard to follow the line. Let's see what he tells us here. He's telling us to go to the left. Oh, now to the right. There we go. Sometimes my little numbers show up there, and sometimes they don't. Come on. Just inching our way up here. Wrong way. There we go. I'd say that's just about as close as you can get. I don't know if you can see that, but it's 0.1 and 0.1, so I'd say that's pretty solid right there. Let's go ahead and put the parking brake on. Come on. There we go. Tracker coming off. Little jump here. Fantastic. Let's take a look at our shutdown checklist. The parking brake is set. Taxi light is off. Left and right engine fuel control switches can go cut off. Let's just make sure. Yep, APU gen is on. APU is running. Let's cut off the fuel switches. Fantastic. Seatbelt signs can go off at this point, and that itch on my foot is still driving me nuts. Seatbelt signs can go off. Let's take care of GSX real quick. Request deboarding. And we're going to have to open up some doors for that. So jump down here. FS actions. Actually, let's go ground connections first. Set the chocks. Connect the AC and the ground power. Then we'll go to doors here. Disarm. Open. Main deck cargo door can be opened. And we can open all three of these cargo doors, and that should get GSX to work out there, which will make for a nicer view once we're all done. What else we got here? Beacon light can go off. Actually, it shouldn't go off because we have power on the aircraft. What did I just click over there? That was accidental. Oh, the test switch and the dim switch. So we'll leave the beacon light on for now. All of our other lights can be off though. C1 and C2 air demand hydraulic pump selectors can go off. That's these two. Nope, I'm sorry. That's these two right here. Alright, and then left electric demand hydraulic pump selector goes off. And then it's the primary C1 and C2 hydraulic pump switches, those two right there. Then it's this right demand hydraulic pump selector over here. Then all the fuel pumps can go off. So that's the order you turn it off in. And then flight director switches can go off. Let's do that real quick. Flight director off. And off. We never did turn the auto throttles off. It auto idles the throttles when you're at flare height, about 20 feet. It takes them to idle automatically. So anyway, APU selector as needed, and then we're not going to go into the secure checklist. We're going to assume that we're going to be running like this for a little bit. But here's what I do want. I want to put the ground power on because we wouldn't want to burn that. So let's put the ground power on. Switch it off, and then the Ataroos can go off because we're going to secure the aircraft. We're not going to power it down, but we are going to secure it. So emergency lights can go off. Right click, and then wrong way, and then right click again. There it is. Left and right pack control switches can go off as well. APU selector is already off, and then it says battery switch can go off, but I don't know. I think we leave the battery on while we got it on ground power. I think that's the way you're supposed to do it. So that's going to wrap it up for this one, ladies and gentlemen. I do hope that you enjoyed the flight. I know that I did. This is fun. I'm having a good time. I love flying this 777 around. Bit of a shame we're having some issues with frame rates. I don't know what the deal is. As you can see, we've got the AI traffic is off in the background there. If I turn it back on, it should start to load in. Yeah, see, so it's initializing now, so you might see some aircraft pop in. I can even crank up the settings a little bit. But anyway, it's just, I don't know, it's just the frame rates are struggling. You saw there was a couple of real hard frame rate drops on short final. There's just, I don't know. It is what it is. We're just going to have to deal with it until I can build the new PC, right? So, but again, I appreciate you joining me on this flight. I hope that you had a good time. And if you haven't already done so, please go ahead and push on that subscribe button there, or smash it if you will. Click on the little bell if you want notifications. I'd like to get over 10,000 subscribers by the end of the year if we can. And don't forget to give the video a thumbs up if you like the content that you're seeing. This is not an official series, so we don't have to keep doing these, but I did ask the other day what the next flight you guys wanted to see was, and overwhelmingly everybody's saying they want to see this 777 freighter FedEx operations a little bit more. So we're definitely going to continue to do these. Give me any feedback that you can down in the comments section. It's always greatly appreciated. If it's something negative, please just keep it polite and we will deal with it accordingly. And that's it. That's all. No more, folks. So as always, until next time, keep the blue side up unless otherwise instructed by ATC. God bless you all and have an outstanding day.